Episode X: Stoic anger that is justified. The difference between destructive rage and moral fire. The most dangerous misunderstanding. Anger has been misunderstood for centuries. Some men fear it. Some men worship it. Some men pretend they don't feel it all. But the Stoics took a harder position. Anger is not the enemy. Uncontrolled anger is. There's a form of anger that destroys judgment, corrodes character, and consumes the man who carries it. And there's another form, rarer, quieter, and far more powerful. Moral anger. Controlled anger. Anger that does not explode, but directs. This episode is about that difference. Because if you suppress anger completely, you become weak. And if you unleash it without discipline, you become dangerous. Stoicism teaches a third way. Before we go further, a brief invitation. If you value long-form conversations about discipline, judgment, and inner command, subscribe to this channel. These episodes are not emotional release. They are training. If you've ever struggled with anger, not knowing whether to silence it or act on it, hit the like button. It helps this message reach men carrying the same internal conflict. And if you know someone who confuses rage with strength, share this episode. Now stay with me, because anger, when understood correctly, is not weakness. It is energy awaiting command. Why Stoicism did not pretend anger doesn't exist. Stoicism never denied anger. That myth came later. The Stoics observed anger closely because they understood its power. Anger is fast. Anger is intense. Anger feels righteous. That makes it dangerous. But it also makes it useful if governed. The Stoic definition of destructive anger. Destructive anger is reactive. It erupts before judgment. It seeks expression, not resolution. It prioritizes release over consequence. This form of anger narrows perception, distorts intent, justifies excess, escalates conflict, and most importantly, it overrides reason. Stoics considered this form of anger a loss of internal command. Why rage feels like power? Rage feels powerful because it removes hesitation. It eliminates doubt. It creates momentum. It silences fear. But this is borrowed power. It costs clarity. The Stoics understood that any power that requires the loss of reason is unstable, and instability is not strength. The aftermath of destructive anger. After rage, there is always reckoning, regret, damage, loss of trust, loss of authority. Destructive anger solves nothing permanently. It only changes the shape of the problem. Why suppressing anger also fails. Some men swing to the opposite extreme. They suppress anger completely. They swallow it, ignore it, rationalize it away. Stoicism rejected this as well. Suppressed anger does not disappear. It becomes resentment, passive aggression, cynicism, and eventually bitterness. Suppression is not discipline. It is avoidance. What Stoic justified anger really is. Stoic anger is not emotional explosion. It is moral recognition. It arises when injustice is repeated, boundaries are violated, order is undermined, duty is obstructed. But unlike rage, it does not rush outward. It pauses. It evaluates. It asks, what response restores order? That question changes everything. The difference between rage and moral fire. Rage says, I need to express this. Moral fire says, something must be corrected. Rage is about you. Moral fire is about principle. This is a dividing line. Why Stoics delayed anger? Stoics trained themselves to delay response, not to extinguish anger, but to cool it into clarity. Delay creates space for judgment. Judgment transforms emotion into direction. Without delay, anger becomes impulsive. With delay, anger becomes precise. Anger as signal, not command. Stoics treated anger as information. It signals a violation, a misalignment, a threat to order. But signals are not orders. A Stoic listens to anger, then decides. This preserves authority. When anger is justified. Stoic anger is justified when it serves justice, not ego. It restores boundaries, not dominance. It is proportionate, not excessive. It remains under reasoned control. Anything beyond that becomes self-indulgence. Why Stoic anger is rare but heavy? Because it is rare. A man who reacts to everything loses credibility. A man who speaks and acts only when necessary carries weight. Stoic anger was reserved, not frequent, and that made it effective. Stoic anger in leadership. In leadership, uncontrolled anger destroys trust, but controlled anger establishes boundaries. It communicates. This matters. This cannot continue. There are consequences. Without theatrics, without cruelty, without loss of dignity. This is moral authority. Why Stoic anger does not seek revenge. Revenge is personal. Stoic anger is principled. Revenge escalates. Stoic correction stabilizes. Revenge seeks satisfaction. Stoic action seeks resolution. The cost of never allowing anger. A man who never allows anger, accepts injustice, tolerates erosion, avoids confrontation, loses self-respect. Stoicism does not require submission. It requires measured resistance. Modern application of Stoic anger. Today, justified anger may appear as firm refusal instead of compliance, direct confrontation instead of silence, clear consequences instead of outbursts, walking away instead of exploding. Anger is present but governed. How to train Stoic anger. Ask yourself, is this about principle or ego? Is my response restoring order? Would I stand by this action tomorrow? If the answer is no, pause. If the answer is yes, act deliberately. The man who masters anger. That man is not easily provoked, is not emotionally mute, is not impulsive, is not resentful. He is calm with access to force. That is Stoic strength. Before we close, ask yourself honestly, where have I allowed anger control me? Where have I suppressed anger I should have governed? Where would disciplined anger restore self-respect? You don't need to answer all of them today. Just one, and act with judgment. Stoic anger defined. Stoicism does not eliminate anger. It refines it. Destructive rage consumes the man who carries it. Moral fire strengthens the man who governs it. The difference is discipline. If this episode clarified the difference between rage and strength, subscribe to this channel. These episodes are designed to train judgment, not suppress emotion. If controlled anger and moral clarity still matter to you, hit the like button. It helps this message reach men navigating the same internal battle. And if you know someone struggling with anger, either drowning in it or denying it, share this episode. Not as advice, as a framework. Anger is not the problem. Lack of command is. Master your anger, and it will serve justice instead of destroying you.